Alright, this is the iPad 2 ZAGG protective cover installation. ZAGG is the #1 manufacturer of protective covers for electronic devices, most notably the portable kind. But this version of the ZAGG protector is actually called the Invisible Shield, and it's military grade, fantastic for pretty much any product, and I highly recommend it. It's very basic, but it can be very detailed if you don't know what you're doing. Fresh out of the box, there are a couple of components that come with it. First off is the actual protector screen itself, and where all this writing is, this is actually just a removable cover that protects the screen from anything in between the time it's shipped from the manufacturer and it gets in your hands. Then there is the actual application spray, which we'll be going over its use momentarily. And then we have the application squeegee, and finally a lint-free cloth. And this we're going to be using most notably on this guy a lot before we do anything with the actual shield itself. Alright, now we need to pre-prep the actual iPad itself. We don't really have a lot to do here for us. You may, if you've owned it for a while and you have fingerprints on it, you're going to want to get those clean. Do not use household products. You should only use a lint-free dampened cloth to basically rub down the surface of it until it's clear. You don't want any type of particles, any dust, hair, lint of any kind on it, because that's going to mess up how the actual shield applies to the iPad. So for us, I'm just going to give this a once over because this was pulled directly out of the box and it was lint-free to begin with. So we are good to go on that. So now next we will go over the the applying of the actual application spray onto your guard as well as your hands. Right? Alright, now we're on to the actual spray application, and before we actually get into this, if you haven't done so already, go wash your hands, scrub under your fingertips, all of that. You want to make sure that all the oils from your hands are completely washed off, because that can mess with the actual protectant that we're getting ready to put on this guy. If you have the same version of the protective shield that I have, you'll have a bottle similar to this. If it's an older one, it'll actually come in kind of like it almost looks like a miniature cologne sampler, or a perfume sampler, if you will. And it's the exact same stuff, just in different packaging. But for this one, what you just do has a little protective thing so that nothing happens to it in shipment. You can either tear it off or just leave it hanging like this. And you want to make sure that you actually squeeze this on your fingertips. I'm going to pull away from the camera here real quick. Make sure you get it all over there, because you're going to be touching the actual applicator plus the iPad, and it goes against every logic that you can think of as far as electronics goes. You don't want to get an electronic wet, but because we're going to be applying it and then removing it, you're still okay. Alright, now you got both your hands all nice and glistened up with that application spray. Go ahead and grab your protective shield and just start peeling at one of the sides here to get that coating that comes with the actual applicator off. And you can discard that, you're not going to need it. And then you want to get down to business and start peeling the actual shield off of the backing, which is right here. The adhesive side is facing the backing, and as you go, you're going to want to separate a little bit. Kind of hard to see from here, but separate a little bit and then spray a little bit of the adhesive, spray a little bit of the applicant into the adhesive side as well as onto the cover that is actually going to be facing outward. Up, and what we're going to do is going to lay that right down on top of the iPad. Now you're going to have to do some playing around here to try and get the edges lined up. You want to make sure that you get them dead on, otherwise you're going to have a funky looking unit, and nobody wants a funky looking unit. And now that we have, also guys, one thing that you want to try and do is just line up one edge. Don't try and get it all over the place and get every edge perfect. Just pick an edge, and it's kind of hard to see from where you are, or where the camera is, but I lined up by the home button, and so the bottom edge is perfectly fine, and now I'm just going to fix all of the edges as I go up and try and get out as much as I can while I'm going up. And if you have to go back and fix something, don't freak out, don't worry about it. It's all a process of trial and error. Just make sure that this stays as lint-free as possible while you are doing it. There we go. Now just start straightening it out. And don't worry if you are pushing liquid off. That is exactly what's supposed to happen. Just try to do it away from some of the ports. You don't want to get that down inside the unit itself. And try and get out as much of the air pockets as you can. And we're starting to look very good. You do want to make sure that you get this as sealed and as much air out as possible within about 2 minutes or so. 3 at the most, because that's when the actual solution will start to dry. And if you need to, you can actually take this off. Best thing to do, just get a little bit of the solution and spray it on an edge, and that should actually allow you to loosen it up a little bit. And then you would slowly peel it off and then reapply. And there we go. So once over, and we are going to be done. So we'll need a little bit of a spit and polish once it's dry, but then we will be good. If you do want to accelerate the drying process, a hair dryer on the lowest setting, so it's cool air, not hot, that will actually expedite the emulsification, I guess you could say, of the solution, and then you'll be good to go. But the manufacturer recommends between 12 and 24 hours of leaving the device turned off and allowing the application to cure, and then you're good to go. So if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email or post online. Alright, have a good one.